Thank you, and I'm honored to be here. It's interesting, I was looking through all the BCIT material, and by the way, this is a school that I really believe in. I believe in your approach and everything. And looking through, I looked at the definition of potential in the Webster's Dictionary, and potential is an ability that someone has that can be developed to help that person become successful. And a core BCIT tenet that's illustrated in your view book is realize your potential. Pursue what you do well and find your usefulness. And this is not fashionable right now because parents encourage their kids to seek happiness through following their passion. There are books and YouTube videos and TED Talks on happiness through passion. Follow your dreams, we are told, and you will find happiness. The University of California recently concluded a survey, and they tracked 1.3 Americans ages 13 to 96 over 42 years, pretty extensive. And the study culminated in 2014, and their findings are that we are getting less happy. And I'm going to quote, "North American culture has increasingly emphasized high expectations and following your dreams, seeking happiness, things that feel good when you're young. However, the average mature adult has realized that their dreams might not be fulfilled, and less happiness is the inevitable result. Our expectations are now so high they can't be met. Those things that are exciting and stimulating for teens and young adults may not provide the stability and sense of community that mature adults require." And I personally believe that this sense of stability that they talk about comes from having purpose and meaning in life, not through the pursuit of happiness. A trusted advisor of mine, Nancy, says, "Never give advice, only share experiences." So I'm going to share some of my experiences and what I've learned along the way about realizing my potential, and through this, finding my own purpose and meaning, and through my purpose and meaning, finding happiness. I've been fortunate to have a life and career similar to that of Forrest Gump, and by the way, we're different generations here. Who knows who Forrest Gump is? Okay, so enough of you. And it's taken me to interesting places, and I've bumped into lots of interesting people along the way. As a 19-year-old, I experienced combat in one of the more esoteric events of the Cold War. In my early 20s, I briefly pursued a career in sport, and I happened to be in Hawaii when a guy called Mike Wiltz first stuck a sail onto a surfboard, the event that drove the emergence of surf sailing, and I had the advantage of being in on the ground floor. This Forrest Gump journey has taken me through fashion, manufacturing, sporting goods, and food. I've had jobs from being a designer to a CEO and worked with diverse organizations such as Marks & Spencer's in the UK, Adidas in Germany, and Aritzia in Vancouver. Along the way, I've bumped into some weird and wonderful people, from crazy mercenaries to Nelson Mandela, from the first man to walk to both poles to the Dalai Lama. I've lived massive change. I grew up on a rural farm with no TV and used a slide rule before calculators were affordable. And I now live in a city and have more computing power in my pocket than NASA had when they sent a man to the moon. I grew up in the apartheid system in South Africa and lived through one of history's most remarkable transitions to democracy. And now I live in one of the most civil societies in the world where people are concerned about the smallest of things. I've lived in first world countries, third world countries, and emerging world societies, and experienced remarkable cultural differences, but now understand that for all our differences, we all have similar motivations. I've been wealthy and broke, and I've led and I've followed. And I could talk for hours about the learning points in my life, but I do not have time to share it all. So I want to speak to two things that illustrate my philosophy in life. The first one is my university education was a performing arts degree diploma hybrid. The degree was for academic subjects like English and philosophy, and the diploma was for practical applications like stagecraft, the design of sets, lighting, sound, etc. And most everyone on my course was pursuing the spotlight of an acting career, but I was a terrible actor, got nervous on stage and forgot my lines. But I excelled in the design of sets, lighting, all the stuff that you could not see but made the magic happen. This was not my passion, though. My passion was the surf and surf sailing. So 4 months prior to getting my degree, 4 months prior to where you guys are now, I had an opportunity to pursue this passion, and I left school without a second thought. But reality bites. My passion became work. I had to train harder. I had to compete regardless of the conditions, particularly in light winds, which did not suit a big, heavy person like me. And I saw that beach culture had a lot of people living their passion, and many of them were middle-aged beach bums, their best days behind them, remembering when they were king of the beach, a title now owned by the next generation. Many of them were eking out a living with no purpose, no career, and no potential. And I realized this could one day be me. And I did not want the best years of my life to be over by 30, so I changed my situation and I went back to what I was good at, which in those days was design. I started as a junior designer and progressed to the point that I was given my own brand and the profile and the status that came with it. And it was good for the ego, so I let it consume my life. The fashion shows, the social parties, but I wasn't happy. My friends did an intervention and got me back on the board and back into the ocean. And almost immediately my satisfaction returned and I regained balance in my life. Interestingly, the love of the sport that had waned when it was a job now returned. With objectivity restored, I realized that it was the product managers of our organization that had accountability for the future. They set strategy, negotiated contracts, and built relationships. And I saw more potential and value in leadership and strategy at that time, so I took a sideways move to assist a senior product manager. But to do so, I had to let go of the ego and the glamour of being a designer. When my mentor left to start his own business, I stepped into his role. And it was really interesting but very hard work. A demanding boss, difficult clients, lots of travel, and aggressive budgets. It was stressful, but I knew it was building my potential. This tough and often unpleasant work, I always continued to find balance in the love of my family and a passion for my sport, and lived a fulfilled life as a result. Jump to later in my career, I was now working in retail and heading up a clothing department in a large multinational organization. My boss at the time was highly respected nationwide as being the best merchant in the business, but also for being a tyrant. He was just an awful human being. He believed in management through bullying, but he taught me about retail. He taught me everything I know about being a merchant, and I could manage my expectations because I was learning at that time. But once that point of growth stopped, I could no longer keep my expectations aligned with my workplace, and I chose to move. There was an opportunity at that time, and I could cross from the clothing division into the food division. But this meant leading a group of people who had all the knowledge and experience while I had none. Not only did I have to learn to think fast, but I had to gain the trust of the team, which I did through empowering them as opposed to managing them. I had to swallow my ego, ask stupid questions, and be vulnerable. And it was strangely liberating not knowing all the answers and to lead through asking questions. And having that distance and objectivity actually made me make better decisions. So it's experiences such as these that have shaped my philosophy on life. A philosophy that believes in the happiness of the pursuit, not the pursuit of happiness. Firstly, I focused my career on what I'm good at, my potential, my utility, my value, and not my passion. Secondly, I know I must equally have passion and love as a fulfilling balance in my life. For some like me, it may be outdoor activities, it may be a hobby or friends, or if you're one of the fortunate few, it may be your work. But the reality is that my current role is the first time that my passion and career have truly intersected in 35 years. The third thing is I know my life will always have tough times and difficulties. It is how I choose to face these that makes me who I am. And most of my growth and development has come from the difficult times and from mistakes, not the good and the successful. The fourth is staying open to new ideas. I know my ego is the greatest barrier to remaining open to change. But when I am open and don't have all the answers, I have a wonderful world of opportunities in front of me. And lastly, in all of this, I've learned to constantly align my expectations and my reality. Whenever they've been out of alignment, I've been dissatisfied. And I know it's better that I make the choice to do something rather than being a victim to others. And as a result of these, I believe I've been fortunate to find purpose in life, and through this, I've found happiness. Not laugh out loud emotional highs, but deeply grounded positivity. So today, you're all stepping out into your lives for real. And I would encourage you to pursue meaning before happiness. I would encourage you to do what you do really well and work hard at it. But maintain the balance of love and passion in your life, and don't assume you will find them in the same place. I would encourage you that when things get tough or unpleasant, to believe that these are times when you can really choose to grow or you can wither. I would encourage you to stay open and curious to new possibilities. And lastly, I would encourage you all to take accountability to align your own expectations and the realities of your situation, because only you can do this. So good luck and all the best. Thank you.